And we are live. Welcome to NBA Live Before Lock. It is Wednesday, April 17th. I am Josh Engleman. I'm joined by Eric Lindquist. We are brought to you by Sleeper, and we're doing it all again, same way as yesterday. Two games. We're focused on the East today. Much different slate than what we had yesterday. Should be fun to break down. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell. Follow us both on Twitter. Anything good for you yesterday?
We a lot right, I will say
Yeah.
that. Actually somehow ended up like slightly down on the slate, like $80 or something. It wasn't anything egregious, but had some really, really good lineups. But for whatever reason, Steph came along for the ride in a couple of them instead of LeBron, and that was the difference. I had 50-50 exposure. I limited a little bit of what I was doing with LeBron. That didn't go well, but overall, I'm not going to complain. I had a couple of shots at it, and we were over on Kuminga. I think he ended up in the winning lineup as well, but we were heavy on the Kings, Chuck. That's what you needed to be. And then your Larry Nance call, obviously getting everybody on board with that. He ended up more popular, but my God, absolute smash by him. How'd you end up?
My post contest sim ROIs were pretty good. So that was great. It didn't pay me off in any way. A little bit
Yeah.
too much Ingram in the places that my lineups actually like pieced everything good together, and that was just brutal to see. Couldn't be out there. And then to me, had to be on some sort of minutes limit. The moment Zion got hurt and he didn't go back in, we knew right away that like, okay, he was never going to get those minutes, and that kind of deflated me a bit.
Yeah, but here's the thing. I mean, I had 0%, but I look at it in hindsight, and I totally understood where you were coming from yesterday. And it just as easily can work out the other way. It's not
Yeah.
like we got any news. It was, Willie just basically kind of being ridiculous by saying, oh, yeah, minutes can go up. No, there were definitely still constraints on what they wanted him to be doing out there.
Yes.
And that's always frustrating when it goes against you. But that being said, we've got kind of that situation with a mid-range piece that's really, really important that you brought up before the show. And I think we'll get into that. And then we're both apparently jamming the same piece of value. So that's going to be awkward, but went well yesterday. Let's run it back and actually win stuff this time.
All right, I just finished off my sim, so I have everything that I could possibly want in front of me. I'm going to make one or two tweaks while we talk, but
Yeah.
let's go ahead and start it off the same way we always start this bad boy off, and that's going to be talking about the potential pay up options on today's slate. You have one dude miles ahead of everybody else. $11,100 for Joel Embiid. If we want to look at anybody else that we can kind of consider pay ups, I'm going to draw the line before we get to any of the ownership. $9,200 Trey, $8,800 DeJounte Murray, $8,700 Jimmy Butler. No one in that range pulling all that much ownership. 16.5 to Murray is the high mark. What do you want to pay up for? Because I've got a guy.
Trae Young. So I'm playing
Okay.
Trae Young. What?
I said, okay.
Is that your guy?
No, it's not.
Okay. So congratulations, Jimmy Butler. You're going to put up 100 today. So that's neat. But you don't bring Trae Young back here to not play him a ton of minutes. And I know it from a betting perspective, like I like Chicago -3 here in this spot. I brought that up on a number of different programs here throughout the entire week. And I feel as though with the Bulls here on the other side, they're a massive, pace downgrade. It's not going to be ideal having Caruso out there on whomever. I mean, DeJounte Murray and flying around. It just overall, Alex Caruso come playoff time is just such an important piece. But Trae Young is at 9,200. I assume that we're going to get unencumbered run like 40-ish minutes, 38 minutes. I think they could have played him more against Indy, but obviously they were just kind of checking out to see how he looked. It got to be a blowout, but they kept playing him anyway just to see how he was reacting on Sunday. And I think kind of checks all the boxes to say 36 plus automatically is in play here in an elimination game. So I really like to get to Trae Young. He's generally been the alpha with him and DeJounte Murray there. When you have Jalen Johnson off the floor, 1.39 DraftKings points per, or sorry, FanDuel points per minute, that is. But overall, Trae Young, no Jalen Johnson on the floor, no Okongwu on the floor, sharing it with Murray and Bogdanovich, which isn't exactly ideal. But Trae Young at 9,200, the guy I have the most of those for.
He's the second most exposed guy for me. I am over the field on Trae Young, but you weren't even right with Jimmy Butler. Give me Joel Embiid. It's 11,100. He's 7.5% owned. Even if we want to say that that's a little light and the regular old people are just going to have no trouble clicking Joel Embiid's name, you want to say that that's 10, 11, 12. I'm going to take my chances on the dude that can really change this entire slate. Do I know that he's healthy? Nope. Sure don't have a great feel about it. Don't know what his minute ceiling is. I feel a little bit better about this one than I did about Brandon Ingram yesterday. I have 32% Joel Embiid right now. I couldn't be happier about it either.
I get it. I totally get it. For me, I'm going elsewhere because we're going to get people who are looking at the same stuff. I would be shocked, honestly, if we had sub 10% Joel Embiid on this slate. Absolutely, absolutely shocked. But I guess we will find out here. For me, I just like the Atlanta Chicago minutes. I
Yeah.
feel so much more secure with that. I don't know how I feel about Joel Embiid's minutes right from the get-go here. I think he's very live for 38-40 in a spot where you obviously want to avoid Boston. I know it's not an elimination game, but playing Boston in a first round, ramping Joel Embiid up, ramping everybody up, that's not nearly as fun for sure. Plus, you have to play another game after it, and it's no given. So Joel Embiid, totally understand your logic for it. I have 4%, so that's
Okay.
going to feel really nice.
Um, well, let's talk about the one guy that we didn't really talk about. The guy that you thought it was going to be Butler. It isn't Butler. Are you getting to him? Because I don't think that he looks all that great. But then you start thinking about it, and it's like, oh, it's Jimmy Butler. The games finally matter. Does he just go out there and be Jimmy Butler today in a matchup where he definitely wants to give Philly the business if he can?
Yeah, got him in for 40 minutes at the moment. I do think it depends on what else you're going to do with Hero and Robinson. I think those two, as far as what their minutes look like, are going to affect at least the usage there. But Jimmy Butler, he can get it done in a lot of ways. Sure, give Philly the business. That's something I'm sure he's very, very interested in. He just looks okay to me.
Yeah.
I'm rated about the field. I've got 14%, so I'm just right about with that optimal percentage that we currently have in the boom bust tool. But I am more inclined to be getting to Trae Young. And again, for me, all of my ownership seems to be consolidated around the guys just below them. So you gave the cutoff to the top four guys. Trae Young, I have the most of. DeJounte Murray, I have a little bit of as well. But Jimmy Butler is 2 in that range. Joel Embiid all the way down to 4th. So I
Okay.
am not getting to him there purely because of the way that I think Vooch looks. He's pulling insane ownership, but I think it's pretty warranted. And then Bam Adebayo, I like to get to a little bit more than Joel Embiid as well. He's got positive leverage going his direction. He'll have to be on the floor as many minutes as humanly possible to be dealing with Joel Embiid, pretty decent defender himself. So Bam Adebayo, I like to make that stand with at 8,400. Just more balanced lineups for me on this slate.
Bam Adebayo in 54% of my lineups right now, so I smell what you're cooking.
Yep, like them both.
Yeah, I'm not getting to DeMar. I guess we might as well just bring in all the 8K guys. We'll bring in Maxey, we'll bring in DeMar, we'll bring in Bam. So I've got a pretty big stand on Bam. I dug into this one a lot today. So I projected him for 38 minutes. That is not, and I had it at 39. That is not an industry consensus, and it does not match up to the player prop market right now. I'm like 2 or 3 points over his points prop right now. So whatever I'm seeing is not what the consensus seems to be seeing. I think he played either 38 and a half or 39 and a half minutes in this sort of spot last year. I have no reason to suspect that he's not going to be playing 38 to 40 minutes in this spot today. I don't know what would be any different. This game matters. 36 just feels too low for what we're getting here. And it's not like they've got some incredibly skilled backup that's going to be this kryptonite for Philadelphia. It's Kevin Love. Nobody cares. So I'm going to keep 38 minutes for Bam, and that's going to cause him to be in half of my stuff.
Yeah, so Bam only played 37 minutes in this spot last year against Chicago, for whatever it's worth. I do think that you're looking at potentially more minutes. I'd be hard pressed to imagine any situation that they wouldn't want Bam on the floor when Joel Embiid's on the floor. So whatever minutes those are, plus a couple extra to try to take advantage of Paul Reed, or if they want to go Mo Bamba, I suppose they could do that and get weird, but I am inclined to play a lot of Bam Adebayo on this slate. And then Vooch, I absolutely love. You said you're not getting to DeMar DeRozan. That's terrifying to me, considering he's my highest owned player on the slate. But that is neither here nor there. We are very, very different. Yesterday, I think we were in line with just about everything. Today, we are obviously going about it in very different ways because, I mean, it's just going to depend on what you're doing with minutes. DeMar DeRozan last season, in that Heat matchup that we're talking about, the one that then the Heat end up coming from behind, they end up winning at 102-91, and they run all the way to the NBA Finals. But Jimmy Butler played 43 minutes. On the other side of that, DeMar DeRozan played 41. It is a pretty interesting contrast, though, looking at the lineups, because there was no Kobe White really showing up until third quarter. He played 31 minutes there in that one, but they had Zach LaVine healthy, played 41 minutes. I think to project DeMar DeRozan for anything less than 40 is wrong today. I'm pretty positive of that. I don't see any situation that they want to take him off the floor or rip him off the floor for just about anything. So I have him for 44 minutes. So the difference between you and me is probably the fact that you've got him around 39, 40, and I've got him at 44, and I find him unavoidable chalk.
Yeah, I have him in at 40 right now. I'm going to give him an extra minute and take him to 41 because I really just don't have him. But I do think he's more likely to be out there for a bit more than a bit less. I do want to add one thing. So the first game in the play-in last year was actually Miami's loss to Atlanta. Bam played 41 minutes in that game.
Okay, beautiful. I'm looking at the Chicago one that they had to get out of 7 versus 10. That's right, because they hosted the second game. You're right.
So that makes me just feel like 38, I honestly feel like is low and I should go to 39. But if I go to 39, I'm already at half the field, or like I already have 50% exposure to him. I don't need to go to 39. So I'm going to hold at 38, but I feel great about it just knowing that he played 41 last year.
Yeah, my thinking of this, though, is basically that any Kevin Love minutes are going to be absent Joel Embiid. They're never going to have Kevin Love on the floor unless it's like a dead ball where one team can sub or something. And they just rip out Embiid as quick as possible to try to take advantage or something. Like, Kevin Love will not be on the floor with Joel Embiid, barring massive foul trouble or injury to Bam Adebayo. Bam Adebayo will be out there for every minute because they don't want Thomas Bryant in that situation. And Kevin Love will be out there just fine with Paul Reed. So, like, my guess is that you're going to see those minutes match up pretty closely between Bam and Joel Embiid. I would be shocked if they weren't within like a minute or two of each other, again, barring foul trouble. But if Paul Reed sees the floor, which I definitely think he's going to, at least in the second quarter, and then I would assume game script dependent, same thing we said yesterday, but Embiid, 40 would be kind of hard pressed to see it. So I think Kevin Love maybe ends up being the guy who plays 10, 11 minutes. It's not going to have me rip into the window to go get him when I project him for like 12 fantasy points. But I do think that there's at least Bam Adebayo, knowing that this isn't an absolute must win, even though you want to avoid Boston once again. Not that Miami can't beat them. They did it last year, but that's a different team this year for sure. Bam Adebayo is a phenomenal piece to be getting to, I think.
Let's finish this off then. We didn't talk at all about Tyrese Maxey. How do you feel here? He's 20% owned. It's exactly what I have right now. It does get scary because if you believe in an Embiid ceiling game, it's harder to bring Tyrese Maxey along for the ride. Is he somebody you're getting to?
Everything you just said is the reason that I think I want to get to more Tyrese Maxey. Again, I have very little ownership to those top 4 outside of Trae Young. And I only have like 36% of him at the moment. So I'm taking a decent stand on him. It's about 3x. But right now, Tyrese Maxey is the guy that I think ends up, when we get to the flip, underowned. We know that those rates come down alongside Joel Embiid. Why wouldn't they? We understand that this is going to be a different situation for him. And I feel like people are going to react to that. I feel as though at 8,500, I mean, we saw so many ceiling games. It doesn't change what Tyrese Maxey's ceiling can be because there were multiple games alongside Joel Embiid where we saw absolute moonballs. Indy puts up 75 fantasy points, was alongside Joel Embiid for that. That's really the only over 65 that I see. But the point remains, Tyrese Maxey at 8,500, you're getting a little bit of a discount from like the 9K tag. It's an awful matchup. It's a slow matchup, but you kind of have a lot of those same issues with the Hawks on the other side, and I'm not considering it as much. And I do think Tyrese Maxey is the most live of anybody in the 8, 9K and then 10K range where Joel Embiid sits by himself. I do think he's the most live to come in lower than the projected ownership we have by a decent margin. Like if we got to the flip and I saw 13, 14% on Tyrese Maxey, it wouldn't shock me. I would be completely floored if we got to the flip and we saw 13, 14% Jimmy Butler, or like less than that for Jimmy Butler, should I say.
I made my changes. I reran a sim. I'm up to 30% of DeMar now. That's where I want to be. I want to fade him, but I didn't need to fade him with nothing. I don't think that was the path that I should have been taking.
It's just one of those things you could see a world where he plays every minute of that basketball game and he's 8,400 and it's going to be north of a 26% usage. And everything is terrifying to have like 0 of him. Again, I'm jamming.
Yeah.
You don't have to jam. I have stands that I'm making elsewhere, and we at least have 1 point of collaboration coming up later in the value section. But
We do.
up here for me, I love DeMar.
All right, you know what time it is. 6:17. It's time for Ace of Spades question about tiers.
Of course, my dude.
Let's get into that one right now. Tier 1, Embiid, Trae Young, DeJounte Murray, Jimmy Butler.
Embiid, done.
Yep. It is Embiid. It is Embiid, and it is not close. Tier 2, Maxey, Bam, DeRozan, Vooch.
God, that's close for me. I'm going to go Vooch.
I'm going to go DeMar.
Okay.
Oh, tier 3, Hero, White, Capella, Bogdanovich, Dosunmu.
I amend what I just said. I take DeMar, by the way.
There we go.
Let's see. That is going to be Kobe White.
That is Kobe White as well for me. Tobias Harris, Kelly Oubre, Javonte Green, Alex Caruso, DeAndre Hunter, Duncan Robinson.
I hate everything about it, but Tobias Harris.
Agreed. Alex Caruso, close second.
Yep.
Buddy Hield, Drummond, Jaquez, Martin, Lowry, Reed, Fernando.
Let me see. I didn't hear the first one. Did Martin end up being in that tier?
Martin is in that tier.
Give me Caleb Martin.
It is Caleb Martin. I agree. And finally, tier 6, Kevin Love, Jovic, Batum, Highsmith, Sonogo, and Patty Mills.
Oh my God. Batum by absolute default.
I have a ton of Batum right now, by the way. We'll get into that in a little bit.
I don't mind it. I like him more than Jovic.
So do I. All right. So we've talked a little bit about all of the 8K and higher guys on DraftKings. We've touched on tiers thanks to Ace of Spades and his super chat. So it is only right for us to get into one of the highlights of today's show. We need to know, who is the exotic play of the night?
Haven't heard her read.
We got a pack of them, 7K range.
It's like an NBA Top Shot, just like exotic pack.
Vooch, Hero, and Kobe White.
Oh my God. It's by a mile one guy, but this is for me. I'll just take the obvious one and then you can figure it out.
It's all yours.
All right. The most obvious guy in the history of the exotic play of the night. Actually, that's not true. We've had a couple of pretty obvious ones, but I don't think Drummond plays tonight. I would actually kind of be surprised considering he didn't practice yesterday, and we're probably looking at 40+ minutes of Nikola Vucevic. He is outrageously owned. He should be outrageously owned. I don't have anything to add. He's not going to be contrarian. He's the most obvious of the exotic plays here this fine evening. Nikola Vucevic, exotic play of the night by a mile.
Well, thank you so much for giving me the true exotic play of the day.
Oh, no.
Shout out to my boss man, Alex Baker. What up?
Oh, there
what
you
up?
Go.
Alex Caruso, come on down. Today, you are the white of the night. Love to see it.
Oh, man.
The boss man, Alex Baker, white of the night. He's going to put that in his Twitter bio, I think.
Yeah, probably not anymore after Jonte Porter.
Ooh. Tough day for old Jonte.
Yeah. Alex Caruso, find out that he's been playing DraftKings and FanDuel to the tune of 20 mil the whole time.
He's going to be in the WNBA in 2 years. That's the move. That's the move.
Man.
Well, it seems like Jonte Porter really enjoys sports betting. He certainly got a lot of money down. Maybe
it's not the beginning of an ad read, is it really?
Maybe he's interested in daily fantasy sports. Now that he doesn't have as much basketball to play, we can help him out. The promo code is playoffs. Jonte, if you're watching, you can sign up at Stochastic using the promo code playoffs, and you can get yourself 50% off a Sims Max weekly package. It exists for main slates and for showdowns. If you're interested, you get projections, ownership, boom bust. You get the Sims tool, the contest generator, lineup generator, premium Discord, and more. Jonte Porter, I know you've got a lot of free time on your hands. Fill it with daily fantasy sports. Why not? What else do you have to do at this point in time? Sign up at Stochastic, and maybe you're not Jonte Porter. Maybe you're just one of our regular listeners that didn't just get kicked out of the NBA. There's a link in chat or one in the description. You can sign up as well. This is not a Jonte Porter specific promo code. It exists for all of you. So come join us. The promo code is playoffs.
You're fucking insane. Oh, that's so wild, bro. It's so wild.
That went well.
I'm
went well.
Sure you feel very proud of yourself right now. Hey, Jonte Porter. Oh, phenomenal. I think that might have been your best work yet. That was pretty good.
I mean, you know, he's got time on his hands. What else is he going to do?
Go to jail, potentially. Probably not.
Just wait till I tell him about OddsShopper in 20 minutes. You think I'm pitching him on the DFS product, man? I know where my bread's going to get buttered. I'm going to get him on the OddsShopper tip. Can we bring him on the affiliate package?
Oh, absolutely. Affiliate package for days. Jonte, just get us in the Discord and we'll see what happens.
Nolan, slide into those Jonte Porter DMs. I'm sure this will go great.
Do we know anybody? Did he go to Missouri like his brother? Where did Jonte Porter go to school?
I don't know. Who do we know? It was with Kayla. Didn't she go to Missouri?
That's what I'm saying. Go to college.
He did go to Missouri. All right, we're gonna have to call in some Kayla favors.
All right,
reach out to Jonte Porter. Wait. You think he's more likely to respond to a Kayla DM than one of mine?
Yeah.
You think he's more likely to respond to Kayla over Nolan?
Oh no, Nolan sure has a way with words. Hey guys. Hey Jonte, I have this really great deal. Here's some equity.
Well, it can't go as bad as when it was Matthew Berry and Adam still worked here. All right, you want to talk GPP plays?
Not really. This is too good. People, these are all inside jokes that I hope you know about because that's too good. Oh, shit.
Oh, Deuce Trey hit us with the super chat. FanDuel plays position by position for cash games. That's very easy to do. So position by position, Alex Caruso and DeAndre Hunter, whether you're putting him in a point guard, shooting guard, small forward, power forward, for which either guy, those two guys have to be in the lineup. I don't see any way around it. It seems to me that you also have to have DeJounte Murray and DeMar DeRozan.
Yep. They're like infinity owned. You're probably, oh God, the Jovic thing that he's popular there. I think in cash, you probably do it.
Yeah.
I hate it for tournaments, but that's a different conversation.
Yeah. And then you're having some sort of conversation about Dosunmu, White, Fernando, Bogdanovic, and Martin. That's everybody that's north of 50%. And there's a 15% gap below Cody Martin. So whatever you're looking to do in cash, you're taking most of that range if you can, if not all of it. If you can't do all of it, you can drop down a little bit further for that final dude. But either way.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right, GPP plays.
Yeah, these are fun. Should we go to the guy or should we save that for later?
Go for it. Go whoever you're. What are you? Is the guy not good at basketball?
No, he's not good at all. He's sub 4K, and his name is Schmerson Schmatthews.
Not to be confused with Schmatthews.
Yeah, they're two different people. I don't know, but guys, I don't know what to tell you other than there's a weird thing to try to project today, and it's what to do with the fact that I learned this morning, like just this morning, that Vit Krejci isn't on this basketball team. And I don't know how that went about, and I didn't notice it until this morning, but that is the way the cookie crumbles. They have to sign his contract for the rest of the year in order to then have him for the play-in tournament. And they just said, nah, we'll just change our starting five. DeAndre Hunter, who they've just hated to start, will now more than likely start. I would be shocked if he didn't, but that's a 5-man rotation with Young, Murray, Bogdanovic, Hunter, Capella. And the guy who can kind of fill in for a minute here, a minute there for all three of those guys, point guard through small forward, is Garrison Matthews, who is right now in almost like way too many of my lineups. Garrison Matthews is, I think, the best sub 4K piece on this slate. Not remotely close. like not even remotely close. And so as such, I have a metric ton of him. Now, if Drummond gets ruled out, I do think there's a case for trying to do something like Sonogo, but like I doubt I end up actually pulling the trigger playing 50 lineups, just throwing it out there. But there's no way he's going to look remotely good compared to a 3,100 shooting guard, small forward Garrison Matthews, who is just so easy to have fit into lineups.
I have no disagreements. He's in 64% of my stuff. He's projected for 67% ownership. I don't know what else to do. I have him projected for 11 fantasy points, but his position and his price are flawless. And if that dude knocks down 2 or 3 threes in some little like heater, everything is looking great for you. So I have no problem saying Garrison Matthews. I got a couple guys that I'm taking a pretty sizable stand on, and I want to get your pulse on it. What do you think?
Sure. Yeah, I have a couple too, but they suck. So yours are going to be better.
So we talked about Bam already. Like he's projected for 11% ownership. This is very much a GPP play today. But if you are looking for another value option, I really like Batum here. He's 4,300. Now he's going to have no usage. He has like 9 or 10% usage when Embiid's out there with him, but he's a connector on this team. He's certainly going to get some defensive assignments. They love his passing ability when Joel Embiid is out on the floor. You've seen him play like massive minutes every once in a while. Seems like a spot where you're going to get 28 plus out of him, or at least that's what my expectation is for Batum today. I have a lot of him, well north of the 8% we're projecting from an ownership perspective. Is he terrible per minute? He is, but he is one of my preferred value plays. Also, yes.
Don't hate it at all. I assume that we're going to get 28 plus minutes of him. Covington's out for the season. KJ Martin, I doubt ends up in the rotation now. I'd actually be really, really surprised by him. So that creates an opportunity for Batum to be out there a lot. This feels like a game environment where you really want to utilize him and his skill set too. Just have him sit in a corner, have Maxey create, have Embiid sit in the post, have them do their thing. And Batum should be able to get some wide open looks. And I do think that he's probably one of the better punts that we have on this slate. So he's in 24% of my lineups right now. I can probably give him a little bit of a boost and get to a little bit more. So that is definitely somebody that I am just fine with. Think that he's a pretty good stand to be taking. But my guys are disgusting. Like when we're talking about relative, like I think we talked about Trae Young. Trae Young has massive positive leverage going his direction. Love getting to him. I also think Javonte Green at 5K. Nobody wants to play him. 13.8% ownership, massive optimal percentage. Actually, is he the highest leverage guy we have in the boom bust tool? I guess he is. So there's that. If you're looking at a sixth man, it's kind of what I was talking about with Garrison Matthews on the other side. The only difference is that this is a 5K piece. And I think it all comes down to how healthy Ayo Dosunmu is. I think he's going to play, but maybe something isn't right. I bet he's pushing to play either way. But Javonte Green could be filling in for a lot of those minutes potentially, and not getting a ton of attention, over a third of the time optimal in our projections. That is a pretty nifty guy to get to if something is wrong with Ayo, and that's kind of just taking a shot on health, taking a shot at a price point that other people are going to take shots on 4K Jovic. And, Batum, I do like more at 4,300. There's at least positive leverage coming in on him. But Ayo's got a ton of ownership coming in on him, and we don't know. I know we went through shoot around. We all assume that he plays, and I assume he plays, but something happens. Javonte Green would be the absolute nuts.
I've got one other guy that's sub 10% owned that I find very interesting. Also plays for the Philadelphia 76ers. Do you want to get to anybody healed here?
I thought you were going to say Campaign. I
think Campaign might
really
not
disgusting.
play.
I have him for 4 minutes, so I would hope he doesn't. But Buddy Hield has a ton of positive leverage on him too. Shooting guard, small forward, 4,600. I like Green more for 400 more. I think you could end up having the minutes upside even higher. What's interesting?
We got the Sixers lineup. Maxey, Lowry, Oubre, Harris, Embiid.
That's what I thought it was going to be.
I thought Batum was going to start now that games mattered.
I did not. I think Kyle Lowry.
I don't know what the point of Kyle Lowry starting is. I don't know why you start Kyle Lowry over Nick Batum here.
Because I'm assuming Hero, Robinson, Butler, Jovic, Adebayo, and then I'm assuming that they'll want to give Harris a little bit of a break. I mean, I had it like this as is, but I still think Batum plays 28 minutes. It doesn't change.
Oh yeah, like I assume they would start Batum over Lowry because I just think the fit is better for what they're looking to do now that Embiid is here.
This is different. We just got the Heat starting lineup. This is
Yes,
not
we
what
did.
I had projected.
Hero, Martin, Butler, Jovic, Adebayo.
All right, this just became a headache because Duncan Robinson not starting really puts those minutes into flux. Again, we said it before. You could play 22 or 36. I think that right tail just disappeared. I don't think we can talk about 30 plus minutes now for Duncan Robinson if he's not starting, unless he comes in, flame throws, and then he's like, yeah, I'm good. And they just play him. I think for me, this makes Caleb Martin a lot more interesting. I think Jovic, God, this is weird because now Duncan Robinson, you got to drop him to like 22 or 24 minutes.
So I have him in right now for 23, and I think I'm going to keep that.
Is that what you had before?
Yeah.
Oh, that's sharp because I had him as starting playing 27. So
I thought they were going Hero, Butler. I thought they were doing this lineup.
Oh, okay. I did not think they were doing this. So we're opposite. I had the Philly one, you had the Miami one. I think Duncan is really, really tough to get to now.
Agreed.
Yeah, I can't play Duncan Robinson at 5,500 now in this. And he'll knock down 7 threes in 24 minutes and absolutely screw us. But we avoided the absolute landmines yesterday. Let's do a little matrix bullet dodging today too. But yeah, I'm not gonna get to any. I had like 8% Duncan Robinson. I'm gonna have 0 now.
I just took a minute off of Batum and gave it to Kyle Lowry. I think that should handle any sort of like over-owned, like extra over-owned Batum for me.
Caleb Martin's really interesting now. I didn't really like him all that much before, but now very much like him.
I had 26%. I'm just waffling. I feel like anytime I give Caleb Martin the minutes, he has one of those games where he misses 4 of his shots early and then he plays 23 minutes and they go to somebody else. Just they don't have enough somebody else's.
Jaquez has played. Jaquez is kind of like the tough one for me to get a grasp on what I want to do with. I think he plays more than Duncan Robinson now, which is weird to say.
I think they're going to be. I think they're just at the mercy of how they're playing.
Yeah.
Like if Duncan Robinson hits a couple early threes, he's just going to play more today.
Yeah. But even at 5,500, it would have to be a lot of threes for me to actually feel like I got burned by it. So I'm more inclined to take shots on Jaquez than probably anybody else on this bench. This definitely tempers Robinson's minutes. I'm going to take him to like 21, 22. Highsmith, I'm going to keep right around 18. Jaquez is definitely going to be the only bench player from Miami that I probably get to now.
Let me see if I have anything.
Do you have Love at all?
No. I have like 2 shares of Haywood Highsmith, and that's about it. The rest of it's all the starting lineup.
Yeah, it's what it's going to be for me too, I think.
Any other GPP plays, guys that you're like well over the field on? I'm over pretty significantly on Bogdanovic. I'm like 2xing Javonte Green right now. I'm a little bit over on Ayo Dosunmu if he's able to play. A lot of my fades are pretty heavy at this point.
Yeah, we'll all those guys. Hang on, what just happened to Garrison Matthews' ownership? Why did he just go way up for us?
From what to what? He's still 67 from what I see.
Okay, good. I'm just jamming.
You accidentally click on FanDuel or something? Nope.
Yeah, I did. That's exactly what I did. I'm an absolute you know what.
We all know. You don't have to say it.
Thanks.
People are well aware.
Thank you.
I don't think I have anything else in terms of GPP plays. So chat, it's time. We've got 2,000 of you. Now you're not hitting the like button nearly enough. We're going to hit one button, and that's the button that sets off the nuke of the night. How owned do you think Vit Krejci ends up being today? You think he gets over 1%?
That would be incredible. You won't have the check mark next to his name, which is sad. I would love for DraftKings to just accidentally put his check mark out there because somebody was napping on the job and just assuming it was the same starting lineup they've had forever. That would be incredible. That's it.
Who's your nuke of the night?
I am probably going to just have to go back to somebody. So again, I'm on the Bulls. I like the Bulls a lot, -3, but there's just apprehension that exists this time of season. And I think Maxey would actually be a pretty decent nuke of the night as well. But even more so, you don't bring back Trae Young unless Trae Young is going to be able to play 38, 40 minutes here in this spot. He's 9,200. He's the second most expensive player on this slate and nearly 0.25% of the time optimal. I am willing to be taking a pretty large stand on him and this game. I'm jamming DeRozan and Vooch. Again, pretty chalk donkey in that regard. But Trae Young at 9,200, I think gets a little bit underappreciated for the fact that he can just go out there and get you a big, big fantasy score. And DeJounte Murray's presence probably helps out, with some of the Alex Caruso concern, if you will. But this is definitely a one game to win them all, one game to find them. I think you want to have Trae Young in a majority of your lineup. I have him in nearly 55% of my lineups. So that is just going to be wild. Trae Young, Nuke of the night. Good Lord.
You over there playing with your precious right now?
I tried to throw a little nice, subtle Game of Lord of the Rings reference in there. But yeah, if you want to take it to that place, go ahead. Good. Well
that
done.
Movie is visual ambient.
It is as good as it gets.
If you put that movie on and you're having trouble sleeping, I promise you're going to wake up 3 hours later during the credits.
You're such a dick. Honestly, it's so good. All three of them are so good. The originals. That is not The Hobbit.
Did they really need 9 hours to just walk through the woods?
You're one of the worst. No, seriously. As somebody who defends Interstellar, that being you have no room to talk about Game of Thrones, which rightfully, may I add,
I'm going to continue to talk about Lord of the Rings. If you would like to talk about Game of Thrones, something actually good, we can do that if you'd like.
Can't wait for House of the Dragon to come back, but yeah.
You and me both. It should be really good. You know what's going to be a lot better than? Those garbage Lord of the Rings movies. Oof.
You have Jordan Klein in fits today. You have Jordan Klein in just absolute fits.
I worked in the video store when I was there, and I would play that movie on the TV, and people would actively not come because it was a boring experience to try to buy other movies. That's insane, right?
What is wrong with you? Legitimately. Wow. Just unbelievable. The TV show is complete dog shit and garbage so far.
There's a TV show? That's how bad it is. I didn't even know that existed.
Yeah, it's the most expensive TV show ever created, Amazon, and it is garbage. So the fact that you haven't heard of it, not shocking to me.
Really shouldn't be playing, says Josh. You're in Slytherin, right? No, I'm a grown man. I don't have anything to do with Harry Potter.
Dobby is a good house elf.
Yeah. No, I can't put Harry Potter on the TV and think to myself like, oh, these children are something that I should watch for the next 2 hours.
What a beautiful place to die, around Harry Potter and friends.
Yeah, no. Enjoy riding on a broom, witch. Shout out to Sleeper, presenting sponsor of this show. NBA Live Before Lock has got Sleeper today. You guys could have Sleeper right now by clicking the link in chat or in the description of this video, because you can get up to $500 on your first deposit. That is a great way to start off a very sizable bankroll. Put in 500, get 500. Play through it. If you find out you hate it, you could bounce, but I don't think you're going to hate it. I think you're going to want the plays. Odd Shopper could help you out. You hear that, Jonte Porter? Odd Shopper can help you out. You could probably play on Sleeper too. They probably haven't kicked you off of that platform just yet. They'll take anybody they can get. So sign up using the link in chat or the one in the description. Jonte, they're trying to acquire customers. I don't know if you still have 500 bucks, but if you do, you can deposit it at Sleeper and they will match that deposit. That piece won't be a problem for you, I promise. So if you need more plays, Odd Shopper's the tool for you. Links in the description. But everybody right now should sign up for Sleeper.
Honestly, this is a masterclass. I feel like I'm watching You're Not Serious People, whatever that guy's name is.
We need a bet where Josh is forced to watch all 3 extended Lord of the... Like, dude, I could never do it. Do I have to, like, get through it? Oh, my God. How bad are the books? Because I can't imagine how boring it is to read that thing if you can't even make the visual experience fun. I don't
You
know.
hurt my.
Just did you read the books?
I sure did.
Are they better than the movie?
They're equally as fantastic.
Okay, that's not the best way to describe it then. Yeah, I mean that would be a 9 hour bit of rest. Maybe I could do that Saturday into Sunday. Pop that bad boy on around 11 o'clock. Wake up at like 8. All those movies will be over. I'll feel right as rain, man.
Yeah, closer to 12. They're freaking long. Oh my God. How much jail time would you take instead of having to watch 9 hours of Lord of the Rings? Is it like 3 days, a week? How long would you like actively go and sit in a cell and do nothing as opposed to actually watching the Lord of the Rings movies?
I mean, I have to do 1 hour of this show with you, and that's worse than the Lord of the Rings. So apparently I'm a glutton for punishment. I'm willing to take it in any way, I guess. So, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? What's the real
So
question?
is it Amber heard at the
Fades?
late night thing?
Let's talk about fades.
Yeah,
Who
okay.
are we not getting to? Because I got a couple here that are big, and I'm gonna lead it off. I wanted to get your
You on
thoughts.
my Christmas card list.
Hmm. Are you gonna roster Clint Capella today? Because I have 4%, and we're projecting him for 40.
Yep, I have more Bruno Fernando.
Yeah, I don't. We have a lot of great center options. I'm obviously taking a stand on Bam Adebayo. I'm obviously taking a stand on Joel Embiid. If that means that I have to give up on the heavily owned Clint Capella to get those two guys, I'm okay with it. Like Vooch is out there as a fantastic center option. I think Bruno Fernando is more interesting relative to ownership than Clint Capella. I think Capella is my easiest fade today.
I don't know about easiest. I think Tobias Harris, somebody that I'm not getting to a crazy amount of anymore. I thought I was going to, and then Javonte Green is starting to eat up a lot more of that than I thought. I have 0% of every bench player not named Jaime Jaquez on Miami, so that seems like a pretty big, well, not really, relative to ownership there. Also, DeJounte Murray. This is the guy that I think could just absolutely, completely murder me today. 8,800. I'm higher on that game as a whole, and yet just getting to so much Trae Young. DeJounte Murray falling by the wayside. Joel Embiid have virtually none of him, so that should be a fun experience. Did I actually end up getting to Joel Embiid? Nope. That's going to be
No?
a fun one as well. So there are some pretty interesting stands that are being made, but like for me, it's just jamming the likes of Matthews and Vooch, DeMar, Javonte Green, Alex Caruso, a lot of those Bulls guys, and a lot of Bogdanovich. But then I'm fading a lot of what exists here in Miami and Philly.
I'm going to hit you with a couple of my other major fades for right now before I start my rerun. We have about 15 minutes before we get there. DeMar, which we've already talked about. I just know that I'm going to be half the field there. Caleb Martin, I'm about half the field. That scares me a bit. Kobe White, Vooch. I'm just generally lighter on all of Chicago, but I'm not getting Chicago. Like I have 58% of Caruso. It's just less than he's owned. I have 44% of Vooch. It's just less than he's owned. I have 36% Kobe White. It's less than he's owned. I'm punting away some of the Chicago so that I can get to more of Philadelphia to try and get a little different since Philly is the least owned team on the slate right now.
I get it. And they're the best team on this slate, which is always funny to think about it that way. But yeah, I'm with you where I don't hate that. For me, I'm kind of taking calculated. Like I like the Batum play.
Sure.
I like getting to a little bit of Buddy Hield. He does have the positive leverage going his direction, so I'll kind of readdress that here. But there's no doubt that we'll both be in shambles with Capella goes completely nuts. That'll be a painful experience. Also, Jovic, 0% Jovic, and I feel like both sites had him at so where was he at before? We have him at like 28, 29%. I have 0%. I think Jovic could be today's Trace Jackson Davis. Now, I think he has a cleaner path to being out on the floor. You knock down some shots in that first rotation. Sounds great. There's no Domantas Sabonis on the other side here. They can, hide a little bit of Jovic if they need to. He's, pretty tall individual who, for all intents and purposes, could sit in the corner with Tobias Harris and have a snack. But I have 0% Jovic in 50 lineups.
So I have about 20%. I'm not fond of it. I find this entire Miami team to be really difficult to pin down.
Bam's not.
No, whether it's Highsmith or Jaquez, Robinson, Martin, Jovic, like it's just a lot of guys where we don't really know who's going to be in that closing lineup until they get to that point and try to figure out who's been playing well.
Yep. And that's where I think the Jaquez one, like, I know we've had a couple of these slates recently where it's been like Haywood Highsmith. I feel it was like a must-have guy in a couple of these spots. The fantasy point per minute rate is just not a place where I feel like I absolutely need to be taking shots on him. There's lots of ways that he just barely plays. And
yeah,
I don't think he's a great tournament option relative to the other options we've gone through, not just in his range, but like period.
Anybody else you want to touch on the fade line here? I think I've hit on all my main guys, and I'm in the midst of doing my new rerun. We zipped through this one. I feel like this slate's easier to talk about than yesterday's.
Yeah, yesterday there was some easy nuance where, again, the Kings I thought were just fantastic chalk. That came to fruition pretty easily. Keegan Murray didn't screw us, which was fantastic. Having him in basically 100% of shit. I think the what's tough about today, or what makes it easier, I suppose, is that the rotations I think are easier to pin down on 3 of the teams. The only difficult really one for me is Miami. I think it's going to be very, very consolidated for Atlanta and Chicago. And because of the usage hogs that are Maxey and Embiid, it's not like we have to be sweating bullets about Campaign or Paul Reed playing more than what we think. I think Garrison Matthews is very clear cut. And I think, IO minutes, like trying to embrace a little bit of volatility there, where if he plays 28 or 30 because he's just not right, that wouldn't shock me at all. And then just getting to some Javonte Green. But I feel like it's all pretty calculated risk stuff, not trying to get unique. I guess the one player from a punt perspective that I wanted to ask you about, because it's somebody that I started to entertain if things aren't going well for Atlanta early, or if Garrison Matthews isn't knocking down shots. What do you think about Wes Matthews?
I don't think he's going to be out there enough. I'm not even confident that he's that last guy in the rotation.
Yeah, it could easily be AJ Griffin, but Wes Matthews is 3K flat. And if I'm like zeroing something out and I wanted to play Embiid and I wanted to play everybody else, and I walked into 10 from Wes Matthews with the positionality and everything, like there's at least a case I can make where maybe that's the completely off the wall play. And you get away from Garrison Matthews and all of the ownership and all the land. But I think it's too risky. But I don't know. We have 11 projected for Garrison Matthews, 5. And, all it takes is Wes Matthews actually getting out there and being impactful. He's a veteran. There's ways I can at least like make the case that in large field tournaments, if you're playing in a 40, 50,000 person tournament, that you should maybe have a share or two if you're zeroing out that salary.
Yeah, my only concern is just that they pick a different dude in that role, whether that's Muhammad Gay or Griffin or whatever else could possibly be around, because they just haven't been playing Wes Matthews as much as I thought they would have been in this little bit of a ramp up, especially with no Jalen Johnson around.
Right.
I don't hate the idea of like turning him into a wild card, but I feel a lot better about Garrison Matthews like being out there because he's been playing about 20 minutes a night for the past month.
Yeah, and that's the thing, is that he's the way better play. He's in virtually everything I'm doing, but I think I might. So I have 85% Garrison Matthews now in my last run. I think I might grab a share or two and just like swap into it, like pull up what my top projected is and maybe just like double that lineup out and then swap in Wesley Matthews in like 1 or 2 of those. Because that's something that's pretty easy to do. You just basically take your CSV and take the top lineup, and then you just copy it in somewhere near the bottom, make that my 49th or 50th lineup, and just switch in a Garrison Matthews or a Wes Matthews one time.
I now have basically 0 Nikola Jovic. So I just want to point that out as something that is a little bit different than what I had been talking about previously. I actually just got to 6% of Torrey Craig, which I feel like I'm going to regret.
Not really. I think Torrey Craig may be somebody that we didn't talk about that I already have him in the rotation. And if Drummond's out, that could end up being your backup 5 for extra minutes. If there's foul trouble from Caruso or DeRozan, there's ways that he ends up out on the floor. If things are going south, he could end up on the floor. I think it's very, very unlikely that we have Dalen Terry out there. And I guess, yeah, Sanogo's not going to be in the rotation because he has the same contract thing going. So
yeah,
I think Dalen Terry, he's on the team, but probably not going to play. Torrey Craig makes sense.
Who's the Amber Heard play of the day?
Garrison Matthews. He goes out and puts up 2.
He's going to put up a
like
2 right in the middle of the bed.
Right in the middle of it. And there it is. Hi, thanks. $3,100 Garrison Matthews Jam Fest, 0.01% boom percentage, but you're not playing him for that. You're playing him for the opportunity to get everything else right. And his optimal percentage, he's optimal half the time today. So the other half is what I feel coming our direction, but Garrison Matthews definitely the Amber Heard play of the night.
So I have my final run in. I have my lineups uploaded, I believe. I'm going to take a look now. If anybody has any questions that aren't just 1v1s or 2v2s, because you can go to stochastic.com and use the player compare tool to get all of that done. But if you have any other questions on the slate, hit us now that we could break them down. But I'm going to upload this final situation and then talk through the guys that matter the most to us right now. We did get a couple questions in Discord. Any specific fades and plays you're making for DraftKings single entry, or just playing the optimal lineup out of the Sims? I wouldn't have anything specific. It would be in lockstep with my ownership. The guys I would assume I would have Bam in a single entry lineup. I might maybe even Bam plus Embiid, and then we figure it out from there.
Yeah, the Embiid one I'm obviously lower on. I have 5% of him, but so I did actually end up with a couple shares of him, but let's see, 52 lineups. Let's see. Yeah, for me, looking at what my top sim ROI lineup is, I probably would just run it out because I don't think I have to be thinking about the ownership too much in it. I would be paying attention to Io DeSunmu news. If there was anything that popped up, I would be reacting to that because other people won't. And no, I probably wouldn't be doing anything special for it.
My number 1 ranked lineup has Bam and Embiid in it together, so that makes a lot of sense to me.
Yep, I've got Vooch and then not a center on the other side, but it's pretty close. So Bam Vooch is like 3 of my top 10 lineups or top 5 lineups there. So that's interesting.
So my biggest over the field plays are Bam Adebayo, Kyle Lowry now, which scares me. Joel Embiid, Bogdan Bogdanovic, Batum, and Oubre. So just a pretty big stand on Philly altogether. I'm going to just barely walk Kyle Lowry back just a hair.
I think that's probably a good idea.
Too many hairs. Not enough hairs.
I have 1 share of campaign now too for anybody who gave a shit. Yep,
that's scary.
That's well, it's what it is. I'm looking at the lineup and I'm like, all right, whatever. He's the only piece I think from the game in that one. So that is very much blowout centric. Mike Trout home run, the king. He's like having, I saw somebody put, he's like a Ferrari that's stuck in a garage. That's incredible.
Biggest fades for me, Clint Capella, DeMar DeRozan, Kobe White. Oh, now Nikola Jovic. I don't know how that changed, but now I don't have him. So, oh wait, no, I knew that. In my mind, I got him and went from not having him to having him, but it was the opposite. So Capella, DeRozan, White, Jovic, 4 biggest fades, but White is in 32% of my lineups, DeRozan in 22%. Jovic and Capella, I'm basically not getting to. Similarly, like I'm well under the field of Vooch, but I have 44%.
Sounds pretty good to me.
I like this slate. I like how much Philly I have. 124% projected ownership for Philly. I have 226. That's an extra 100. I like that as the way to be different today.
Let me do the math on this. 56%, and almost all of it is Batum.
Yeah, like I have 56% Tobias Harris, 28 Embiid, 12 of Maxey, 46 of Oubre, 34 Batum, 30 Lowry. I'm over the field on every single dude on the team except for Maxey. Philly onslaught, baby. Let's do it.
Oh,
let's do it.
It's just good to have basketball that like means something back, because I would be so tilted if, like, again, I feel okay losing on slates like this where I'm making calculated stands. We're utilizing the best tools in the industry to help us make lineups. And then we're able to, profit accordingly. I feel like most things that happen in the postseason, it feels pretty justified. Like if you're playing a showdown, you can run into the 1K guy that might make a difference here and there. But a lot of the times you kind of get what you got coming to you when it comes to these 2-game slates. And you kind of either go to the post-contest sim and say, I played well or I didn't. And it's just completely profit agnostic. But I feel like you make it back more times on these type of slates than you do on on like an 8 or 10 game slate during the regular season, especially the end of the regular season. My God.
I'm excited to watch these games. I wish Atlanta, Chicago was first and Miami and Philly was the late game, but what are you going to do here? All right, who wins?
Chicago, or I will be in shambles. And then the Miami Philly one's interesting. I put like a tiny bit on Miami plus 5.5 because I thought it was getting a little bit wide for Spoelstra come playoff time up against Nick Nurse here. But Joel Embiid's the best player on the floor, so I do think Philly wins.
Yeah, I got Philly here. I don't think this Miami team is very good. I also didn't think they were very good last year. Them making the finals really doesn't change my mind on how that was anyway. And then on the Atlanta-Chicago side, I actually think Chicago wins that one, leaving us a Miami-Chicago matchup just like last year.
Can't wait for it.
6:58 and 30 seconds. You have 90 seconds to get your lineups in. And then we are heading exclusively to Playback. Playback.tv/stochastic. You can come join us. We've got 40 VIPs that we could hand out so you guys can watch Miami and Philly along with us. Greg and I will be breaking things down, talking bets, watching the game. We talked a lot of UFC yesterday. Who knows where the topics will take us today? Should be fun. I love Playback. It's a good time.
It is a very good time.
I'm hoping for the big Joel Embiid game today. We're going to pop that bad boy on, and I'm just going to watch Joel Embiid go to work.
I hope it is the lowest scoring game that there has ever been in the history of civilization, and only like 1 or 2 pieces end up optimal, because all my lineups are game number 2. Like legitimately all of them. I'm just going through and doing my final tweaks. I uploaded it, and every lineup I have is 6 guys from the second game.
Well, guys, that is going to do it. We are on our way to Playback. Come join us. Hit the like button here on your way out the door. Thank you for being here. No basketball tomorrow, folks. No basketball. So you'll get us back for Friday, closing it out with win or go home games, which should be really fun. Thank you guys for being here. Shout out to Sleeper. Shout out to Jonte Porter. If he needs any promo codes, let me know. We're going to get on out of here. I'll talk to you later.